How to become a chef in 2025. Welcome to the video. If you clicked on this video, thank you so much. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. Super important. I'm dropping knowledge. Now, where are we at? 2025. You want to become a chef? You clicked on this video. I'm going to give you the answers. It's super simple. I made a couple videos on how to become a chef in 2022, 2023. I'm going to leave a link here so you can go reference that video. But this video is a lot better because we're up to date. It's amazing. We're in 2025. I mean, come on, guys. The new year is here. If you want to be a chef, now is the time in the world, in the day, right? Now is the best time ever. Chefs are becoming rock stars. Social media is crushing. We got businesses on businesses on businesses, big brands. I think what's really important, take in consideration, a lot of people get confused. They see people on the internet and they think they're chefs. But being a chef in a restaurant and being a chef online, two different things. A lot of people get this mixed up. So I'm here to clarify for you. Okay, I am a chef's chef. I have put in the work. I've done what it takes. I've ran restaurants. I've ran businesses. What I like to do is prove to you that I have what it takes and I have the resume. So I always say, make sure you ask that chef for their credentials, okay? Don't take my word for it, just do it. Let me see your credentials. How do you have the platform to speak on chefs? Well, you got to put in the work. And what I want to do is, if you don't know who I am, this is your first time meeting, I'm going to put this video here. It'll give you a quick 2-minute summary of my resume, and I've got some changes towards the end, so stay tuned. Here it is. Let's go.
My name is Brandon. I'm an executive chef here in Silicon Valley, and please enjoy this video of my portfolio, starting with my work experience. Breakers Resort, 5-star 5-diamond, Cafe Boulud, 1 Michelin star, Oriel Las Vegas, 1 Michelin star, Alinea, 3 Michelin stars, then back to Las Vegas to work with the Wolfgang Puck Group. Then I moved to Los Angeles to be the CDC at Hotel Bel Air. There I cooked for A-list celebrities and worked with some of the best chefs in the world. Then I moved to SF to work with the Saison Group on their 2 new angler projects. Okay, now let's get down to brass tacks. Here's a highlight reel of most of the dishes I've created at the Michelin star restaurants that I've worked at. And in all honesty, I know the first look of this, they look busy. They look like there's a lot of components, and trust me, there is tons of layers on these plates. But I have to be honest, over the years, after I've matured a little bit in my culinary career, what I've realized is it's more about the product nowadays and treating it simply and really focusing on the ingredients and the technique behind it. And as you'll see in this next clip, something as simple as potatoes from the farmer's market with a simple sauce or no sauce, simple herbs and seasonings, and cooked to perfection. That's where I'm at today as a chef. Especially living in the bounty of Northern California, I really focus on seasonal ingredients and treating them with respect. Less than 3 things on a plate is my rule of thumb. But honestly, you have to elevate the cuisine, so it has to show through with the technique, and also flavor and freshness is key. Presentation is just as important. The food should be alive and vibrant, yet simple enough for people to recognize. A few other skills that I've added to my repertoire is extruded artisan pasta, using specialized flours, fermentation including sourdough, and then last but not least, I'm classically trained as a pastry chef and I have a dual associates in culinary and baking and pastry. But in my current role, I've been tasked with creating a micro bakery where the primary focus is on local seasonal ingredients.
Great. I'm glad you watched that video. So fast forward 2 years later, I have relocated to Montana. I have restaurants here in Montana, and I am growing rapidly, right? Me and my partners, best partners in the world. We see eye to eye. I think that's super important. If you want to open a restaurant, make sure your partners support you and are in line with your dreams. But also, I will say that being a chef is not easy, okay? And so my first key of advice, okay, my first absolute non-negotiable, if you want to dabble in the world of becoming a chef, it is not the same as creating videos on YouTube or creating Instagram at-home videos. They're not the same, okay? It's super important. People get this confused. They see chefs on the internet creating content, and they're like, oh, he's a chef. No, just because they slap a chef coat on, put their name on it, turn on the video camera, and make a grilled cheese sandwich that's stacked this high does not mean they are a chef. In order to be a chef, you have got to have on your resume running a kitchen. Don't care. It is non-negotiable. That doesn't make it bad. Okay, you could still. I've seen better, content creators on the interwebs they're better chefs out there. But it's just super important. If you want to be called a chef, you have got to back it up. Okay, and with that comes working and running kitchens. Okay, bottom line, there's a difference. Home cook, chef. Okay, YouTube creator can also be a chef if they ran a restaurant, but it's not the other way around. Just because you create videos on the internet does not mean you're a chef. Super important. I have to double down on that. It's just very important. I do get it right. Okay. Now, what I recommend if you're brand new, right? Let's say you're 18, or if you're in your 30s or 20s and you want to do a career switch, okay, don't go to culinary school. Okay. I made a video on this. Is culinary school worth it in 2022, 2023? I'm going to leave one here. I'll put the other one over here. But listen, culinary school is specific. Okay. Now you could also, now here's the thing. Now I know this is controversial, but I'm just going to say it. I do not, as a chef, 25 years experience, I do not think culinary school is worth it in 2025. Here's why I will tell you. If you want to be a chef or a cook, go work in a restaurant. Go step foot in a restaurant. Get a job in a restaurant. You do not need a culinary degree to get a job in a restaurant. Now, I'll play devil's avocado to myself. Okay? Avocado, hope you got that. If you are a private chef or you're a personal chef, or if you're a YouTube creator or you're a social media creator that is doing food content, or you're a food stylist, you already have a career, you're already making money, and you're like, dang, I want to be like, I want more. And I want to know that I have a foundation to work off of. And you've already built a career for yourself, but you want to go to culinary school so you can get the diploma and just level up. Well, then, yeah, absolutely that makes sense. I know plenty of private chefs that were just single moms or single dads that have, I want to be a chef, but I don't want to work in the restaurant business. But hey, I'll meal prep for this family every week, and spend 4 or 5 hours, but I don't have enough in my repertoire. I'm going to go to culinary school and I can afford it. Yes, absolutely. My blessings. Cheers to you. You're in the military. They're going to pay for your school. Boom. Go ahead. Yes, absolutely. You have a wealthy family. Your parents are going to pay for your culinary school. Do it. Take the opportunity. Go to culinary school. Somebody else is going to pay for it. Also, you get grants. You get scholarships. You get whatever. Yes, absolutely. Take advantage. Okay. Now, if you were like me, and I'm going to use myself as an example, you were working in the restaurant business, back in the day, a culinary degree was like required. I didn't agree with it, but guess what? I bit the bullet. I signed up for the cheapest culinary school that was possible. My other comrades went to, CIA, Johnson & Wales, and guess what? I couldn't afford that. I knew that because I knew a little bit of finances. And the thing is everybody makes this mistake. They are young, they're getting out of high school, and they sign their life away to school loans. Bad. The return on investment is not there. You get out of culinary school and you become a prep cook, making X amount of dollars an hour. Guess what? That school payment never leaves, okay? It never leaves, especially if you're paying $60, $80, $100, $120,000 for a culinary degree. It's a waste of money, okay? So, with respect, everybody's situation is different, but what I recommend overall, go work in a restaurant, okay? There's plenty of restaurants that are hiring. There are plenty of restaurants that need people. And the best part about it is your skill level does not have to be high, okay, to work in a restaurant. Now, you're like, oh, but chef, I want to be a chef. I don't want to work in the front of the house. Guess what? You got to know it all, brother, sister. You got to know it all. So if you can't get a position in the kitchen, go be a busboy. Go be a dishwasher. Swallow your pride. Get into the restaurant, okay, business. Step foot in there. Get a job. Work part-time. Side hustle, right? If you work during the day, get a job at night. If you work during the night, get a morning job at a bakery. Get into the food service. You'll know, swear to God, you will know within 2 to 3 weeks whether it's for you or not for you. Okay? Also, there are plenty of opportunities out here. That's why I say, and I'm a firm believer, there is no better time than now to get into the restaurant business, to get into becoming a chef, okay? But it's not easy. You're not going to think you can work in a place for 3 months and become a sous chef or become an executive chef or become a chef de cuisine. And so it's just really important that you use your best judgment and your economic skills, your push, your work ethic. And I'll tell you right now, in the restaurant business, if you put in 100% effort, you will move up fast. Bottom line. There's so many lazy people out there. There's so many people that want to phone it in, especially especially nowadays. No judgment, but and I don't mean to sound old, but they don't make them like me anymore. Okay, and I hate to say it like that, but it's true. When I grew up as a young cook, I spent both my days off learning other things, right? Butchering, making sauces, making stocks. I dove in head first. But I will also say that I'm not, I don't recommend anybody do what I did to get to the position that I'm in. And what I do recommend is don't go to culinary school if you don't even know if you want to be a chef yet, right? Go work in the restaurant business. Go get a job at a restaurant. Okay, moving on. Stay away from corporate places, okay? Meaning Chipotle, McDonald's, fast food places, Panera Bread. Nah, if you want to become a chef, stay away from those places, okay? What restaurant should I go to, chef? Well, what I'm going to recommend is a chef-driven restaurant group, okay? I said this in my last video, and I'll double down on it, okay? I've worked for Daniel Boulud. I've worked for Charlie Palmer. I've worked for Joshua Skeens, the Saison Group. I've worked for Wolfgang Puck for a long time, 6 years almost. And I can say one thing, working for chefs of this caliber makes a huge difference. Chef Hackett's, Alinea in Chicago, great time. But you want to work for a chef-driven concept, okay? Chef-driven means the chef is at the top, right? And then guess what? Everything else involves chef-driven. Bottom line. Now, you may say, well, how do I do that, chef? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. The best way to find out who you want to work for is go eat at the restaurant, okay? Save up your money, save $100, $200, go try the restaurant. Go work there, ask questions. They would love to answer. Trust me, it might be weird, but you would not believe how many people, how many chefs I've met through social media or dining in the restaurant and just appreciating the craft. Actionable steps. First step, go work in a restaurant, right? Just go check it out, okay? Trust me, it's worth it. Before you dump a bunch of money in culinary school, go check it out. So, the next step. What type of chef do you want to be? That is the most important thing in the whole world. What type of chef do you want to be? Now, it took me years to figure this out. First, I wanted to be a fine dining chef. Then I wanted to be a hotel chef. I kind of wanted to dabble in private chef until I heard the war stories and the horror stories like, being a private chef is so cool. Yeah, until you got to take the kids to school, or you got to wash the cars, or you become the housekeeper, or you go to do the errands, right? And the reality is like, what I recommend is figure out what chef you want to be. Do you want to be fine dining? Do you want to be a breakfast cook? Do you want to be? Do you want to run a food truck? Do you want to do smash burgers? The only way you're going to figure this out is do what you want to do as far as passion, right? I went through stages in my career, and just to share a little bit about myself, there was a time in my life where all I wanted was Michelin stars, 3 Michelin stars. That's it. You couldn't even convince me. You know what I mean? It didn't even work out. Like I saw nothing else except for red. And then I went for it, right? I was like, okay, I'm only going to put Michelin on my resume. That's all. If it doesn't have a Michelin star, I'm not working there. If it's not a 5-star hotel, I'm not working there. Don't make the mistake that I did. And what I'm going to say is going to hurt some people's feelings, but I went for that top level. And here's the reality. If you want to be broke and you don't want to expand your knowledge, you're going to be pigeonholed into that. And that's why I recommend that all chefs, you don't want to be a jack of all trades, but you want to dabble in a lot of things. You want to dabble in lunch service. You want to dabble in breakfast. You got to know how to make an omelet. You have to know how to put a lunch menu together for a cafe. If you pigeonhole yourself into 3 Michelin star or fine dining in general, like I did, unfortunately to other companies, he doesn't have the skill set to manage the staff, or he's going to be too ego driven, or he can't deal with volume. There a lot of these things come up that people don't realize, and it's absolutely true. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it happened multiple times. I'm training a French chef who, came from France. He came from Alain Ducasse. He's working in America. And I mean, this guy was unbelievably talented. But guess what? He could not manage his staff. He couldn't manage his staff to save his life. And HR department had a field day. They had a field day with him. And I literally said, hey, chef, wake up. You're in America. You can't treat people like that. And listen, it's crazy because it's like, for me, depending on what type of chef you want to be, and not to go on a rant, it's super important. There's so many opportunities out there, right? And so you might get into the restaurant business and you're like, oh man, I love this, but man, it's hard work, 10-hour days, holidays, nights, weekends, all of it, man. You have to sacrifice almost everything if you want to become a great chef. And now the best part is there's more opportunity out there. So I say all that to say this: you will find out what type of chef you want to be when you start working in a restaurant. Figure it out, right? Start as a busboy, get your foot in the door. You want to work for the best restaurant in your town, in your city, right? Now, the next step, okay? So, working in a restaurant. If you want to be a great chef, you have to have a great mentor, okay? Bottom line, okay? You need to find a chef that you can look up to, that you're passionate about. And here's the thing, it's not easy, okay? Chefs like me, okay, and I'm just using myself, I don't have time to mentor anybody anymore, okay? It's just not on my docket, right? So the reality is you could come work for me right now, but I don't have time to hold your hand. It just is what it is. And I tell this to people all the time. Hey, no, I pay you to do a job. This is your job. This is what you got to do. As much as I'd love to say, like there was a time in my career where I was mentoring cooks and sous chefs, and the biggest thing was that was in the past, and now I'm more of a chef restaurateur. I'm not on the line anymore. I'm not in daily operations. I'm building the concepts. I'm driving the business, the marketing. And so it's super important. Don't get your panties in a bunch. If you go to work for Danielle Ballud and there's 13 chefs in front of Chef Danielle, and you're like, well, I want to be mentored by Danielle. No chance, right? Same thing. Keep in mind, the restaurant you go to work for, that chef is probably not going to be able to hold your hand throughout your whole, career. So what's really important is find the chef de cuisine, the sous chefs, the executive chefs of the restaurants that, oh my God, he's talented. I got to work for him, And here's the thing, ask the questions when you're able to ask them, right? Now, if you start working there and you're, it's the middle of the rush and you want to ask about, how to make a vinaigrette, not a good time, right? Not a good time. Service is king. You ask before or after service. Super important. Seek mentorship, okay? Seek mentorship. That's what you need. Next, it is super important to have business acumen, okay? Now, this might sound crazy, but nothing is more important in a restaurant than profit, okay? I don't care what anybody says. I know it sounds greedy, but it's true. There's no sense in having a business or a restaurant that is not profitable. Then you don't have a business. You don't have a restaurant. And a lot of chefs, including myself before, didn't take that part seriously, and now it's the most important part. And so it's really important is to learn about that as you start your career. Start right away, okay? Learn about it as soon as possible. A lot of chefs don't take it seriously. They just want to cook and they want to stick their chest out. And now, here's the thing. When you start the restaurant, just remember the first year is always a variable. The first 12 months, it's super important to do the best you can to try to make the numbers. But there is so many things that happen that are out of your control in the first year of business that you need to have enough working capital to be able to float the business until you're able to, get it sustainable. But guaranteed, if you set everything right up, if you set everything up correctly and systems in place, you can have the restaurant running on autopilot. And it's just really important that I say that because nobody told me that. I had to learn the hard way. Okay. So very important, business acumen. Okay. Focus on that in your learning process. Okay. I don't care if you're prepping carrots. Okay. Go look at the invoice, see how much the carrots cost. And okay, that means on this plate, we have to, and we'll get into food costing, but it's a different topic, but it's important you know how much that carrot costs and you know how much the waste is going to cost you too, because everything you throw in the garbage costs money. So that's the second thing. Next, okay, when you first start into a restaurant, so let's say you want to become a chef and you got a job at a restaurant, do exactly what they say. There's no time to argue. There's no time to debate. You follow their rules and their systems, okay? But what's really important, these things never change. One, you don't need an invitation to work clean and organized. I have a video on mise en place. I'm gonna put it right here because it's super important. Go click on this video after you watch this video. There are a few foundational things that I want to tell and make sure all chefs and all cooks know. You do not need an invitation to work clean and organized. Keep that in your mind. Mise en place, okay? You need the foundation to be set up correctly. If you just put studs on top of dirt and then put a roof on it, do you think that house is going to last? No, you need a foundation, footers. You need a perfect foundation to start building that house. It's the same thing with your culinary career. So that's why I say stay away from restaurants like Cheesecake Factory and Applebee's and Chili's, unless you want to be a corporate chef. Then guess what? Have at it. But if you want to be a regarded chef, a respected chef, it's super important you put in the time at a chef-driven concept, or with a chef that doesn't have to be a chef-driven concept. It could be a chef with one restaurant in a small town in Germany. Just make sure that you want to learn from that chef and they're willing to teach you. With that being said, you need to gain practical experience, okay? Everybody, even if you went to culinary school, it doesn't matter. Matter of fact, if you're watching this video and you've already been to culinary school, do me a favor. Put that shite at the bottom of your resume, okay? If you come out of culinary school and you put your resume in the first line like they tell you, you're an idiot, okay? Don't do it, okay? Second, and let me tell you why, because it looks like you're a newbie. No, work experience first, okay? Where did you work last? Nobody cares about culinary school. It actually matters what you do on the job. And I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but I don't care because I've been doing this so long that it just irritates me. Oh, I went to the CIA. Yeah, great. Think they're better than everything. And I've seen some really good chefs come out of CIA, arguably the best culinary school in the United States. And I've seen some terrible cooks come out of CIA. Terrible. And matter of fact, they're in different jobs now. But I think what's really important is when you go through that resume course, put your culinary school at the bottom, okay? Put your experience first. That's what's going to be most important. That's what's going to get you to the next level, okay? Now, I will say for all of those people out there, yes, you do get networking in culinary school, blah, 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 but you better be a shining star, my guy, okay? You better be a shining star because I'll tell you right now, you may think that you have a level up coming out of culinary school, whether it's in, whether you go to South Carolina, North Carolina, anywhere, California, it doesn't matter where you come out of culinary school, you still start at the bottom of that kitchen, right? Everybody thinks you can come out of culinary school and be a sous chef. In my restaurants, you have to know how to cook, okay? My chefs are talented. My chefs, we're all chefs, right? And what's really important is you have to know how to make demi-glace. You have to know how to make sauces, stock, soups, sauces. But what you learn in culinary school doesn't necessarily transfer over to that specific restaurant, okay? So it's really important that you know that. You hear from me when you come out of culinary school, right? Put your put your culinary school certificate at the bottom, right? Rant over. Next, do not wear your culinary school. If you go to stage, do not wear your culinary school jacket, okay? Please, for the love of all things holy. It makes you look like an extern, an intern, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that, okay? Now, I know this video is how to become a chef, but, it just gets me a little riled up, you know what I mean? Because I'm super passionate, and my goal in life is to really help these young chefs become successful and pave a road. I've been in this for a long time, and I know what it takes. And so one of the other things I will say is, keep your expenses low. A lot of people that want to get into the restaurant business, you're not getting $23, $24, $25 an hour as a cook or a prep cook. It's not going to happen unless you're in a hotel in a major city, okay? And let me tell you why. A lot of these restaurants, they're based off of sales. They build the budget for the labor in the sales mix. But if you come out of culinary school, if you have mountains of debt, you have to have a certain amount of money to stay afloat. And whether that's $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, it makes it difficult to go work at one of the best restaurants in the United States because guess what? They don't pay. But the experience you gain from working at one of these restaurants, it's tremendous. Working at Alinea in Chicago at minimum wage, changed my life, okay? Just to give you a little back history, because I can talk about myself, but I can't talk about anybody else. I went from being a sous chef at Oriel in Mandalay Bay, sous chef salary, okay? Driving a Cadillac with 22-inch rims, okay? 22-inch Lexani rims, CTS. It was beautiful. I go to Chicago and I make it because I wanted the experience. I was earning for that 3 Michelin star experience. And I love that restaurant. Matter of fact, I still think it's the most progressive restaurant in the United States. Shout out to Chef Ackett's. Shout out to Chef Douglas, who's still there. I still stay in contact with a lot of the cooks and chefs that I worked with over there. But for me, it wasn't sustainable. It just wasn't. I did everything I could. I drained my bank account. I could barely pay my rent. I did everything I could. And I was able to make it a year, but I depleted all my savings. I never got bumped up. The reality is I had to make a decision, an executive decision. And if I didn't taste what the sous chef salary was or managing people, then I would have never went back. I wouldn't have known the difference. I would have just stayed there if I was younger. But unfortunately, I was already a sous chef. And the reality is like, shoot, I can't make it here. I can't afford to re-sign this lease. It just doesn't work. I used all my savings to make this work, and I got a ton of experience, and I loved being there, and I wish I could have stayed. But unfortunately, it just wasn't sustainable for me. And so that's why I urge all of you young cooks, don't keep your expenses down. Stay out of debt. And I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. Position yourself to where you can work a job and be financially stable, but spend less, spend under your means, so that way you can focus on backpacking around Europe, working at different locations, and or working at different restaurants without the burden of oh my God, I have this $1,000 personal loan that I have to pay, or this $500 car payment for my my Dodge Hellcat, And so that's just a piece of advice that I strongly urge. Now, I don't know everybody's situation, and I know some people are, hey, getting out of if you're doing a career change, for example, absolutely don't consider culinary school. Go work in a restaurant right away. Keep your job, right? I know you hate it, but keep your job. If you're in your 40s, but you want to be a chef, you love cooking at home, you love being a barbecue man, dude, or barbecue woman, it doesn't matter. Great. Keep your 9 to 5. Go work in a restaurant at night. Go work for a part-time job. Get part-time at a restaurant, line cook, prep cook, dishwasher, doesn't matter. Get your foot in the door. Your work ethic will prove if you belong in the restaurant business or not. I started as a dishwasher. I don't recommend everybody start as a dishwasher, but you know what? I got to the point where I hated washing dishes so much. I looked at my chef and I said, Chef, I don't want to wash dishes anymore. I want to be a chef. And he looked at me. He grabbed me by the collar. Can't do that nowadays. Grabbed me by the collar. And you know what he said to me? He said, hey, if you want to be a great chef, you have to be the best dishwasher first. And I took that to heart. Every day I came to work, I made sure my Sandy water was set up, my soap water was fresh. I was on the 3-pot sink. I went above and beyond. And that's what you need to do if you get an entry-level position. You need to do the next man's job. Okay? Bottom line. Okay? So I know I'm covering a lot in this video, but I think it's super important. I'm super passionate about it. The next level is like, hey, map out your plan. Okay? You have to have a plan of attack. Do your research. Okay? A lot of people in this life, I can't tell you enough. And this new generation, all they want is the social media clout. And let me tell you something. As a content creator myself, I wish everybody could get famous so they can realize it don't mean shit. It has to come from you. You have to be happy. You have to be happy with what you're doing. Content creation takes so much work, okay? And that's exactly why I'm back to being a chef's chef, right? When COVID hit, and I was like, shoot, I want to start creating content. Yeah, and I got a little popular off social media and TikTok and stuff. But my heart is the restaurant business, is the chef. And I realized that my true passion is helping other chefs become better chefs, right? And also helping the younger generation get to their path of success. So, boom, here we are. Now, to close this out, to summarize, there are 30 plus types of chef's positions that you can attain, right? So you can be an executive chef. You can be a chef de cuisine. You can be a private chef. You can be a food stylist chef. You can be a hotel chef, a yacht chef. There are so many different types of chefs out there. There's so many different avenues. But my recommendation for you, if you want to be a social media chef or a TikTok chef or a creator chef, then what you need to do is Take your phone out, and next time you make lunch, record it and post it. Start there. Trust me. Trust me. You don't need culinary school to be a home cook. You don't need culinary school to be a YouTuber. You don't need anything, any type of credentials to start that journey, okay? And it's just really important. You have to get comfortable on camera. You have to get comfortable speaking to people. And so the path is fruitful. Becoming a chef is great. If you want any more information, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I'm also going to post a poll on my IG, my TikTok, and let me ask the questions. You know, if you have anything you want to talk about, leave them down below. I got a ton of comments from my last video that I couldn't respond to all of them, but I think it's really important. Let's start the conversation. Or if there's a video that you would like to see so you could get more information, feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond. Let's go.